Right, good evening everybody. Thanks a lot for everybody making the effort to come and join us this evening. I'm John Thorpe, I'm the new chair of Leicestershire. As I've probably mentioned before and people may have heard, I've been a member since 1972. I'm a supporter of the club like everybody in the room. I'm a sponsor of the club, I have been for many a year. And the reason I got involved with the board was back in probably 2020 was I love Leicester sport and I love my cricket. And I was concerned about where the club was, as I think a lot of people have been. We haven't been in a great spot. And in my small way, I just want to try and do my little bit to help Leicestershire to make sure we survive and prosper. And I came on the board for a couple of years, disappeared, luckily got voted back at the last AGM as I think an elected director. I think that's the right terminology, and I struggled with all of the non-com process and getting my head around it all, but I'm a simple chap, so I got back on the board. It came for the vote for chair. I put my name forward back in, I think it was May, and luckily I got voted chair, and it was truly an honour for me. And I made my mum and dad very proud, which was quite good. And being a Leicester boy and knowing a lot of people around, I'm surprised how many people have a love of cricket. So that's why I'm here. And I have the same concerns, ambitions, questions as everybody in this room. But I'm luckily I see things I'm seeing things from a different perspective to what I knew before. And my honest opinion, it's not easy. We're in a very challenging time, but I do see progress for the club coming. But it's tough, and the whole point about this evening is this is not a presentation about what Sean's doing, what I'm doing, or what Claude's doing. This is an open forum for everybody to ask questions about Leicestershire. And we're here to answer the questions. And it doesn't matter what you ask, we'll ask honestly. Some things we might not be able to answer directly, but we'll do the best we can. And I hope you understand that that's why we're here. So there's no presentation, not Sean spouting off for 20 minutes about all of that. Claude saying how wonderful he is because he's helped us win a cup. But it's a touch of realism. And all I remember, I sort of pinched myself when, at Trent Bridge, when we won, whoever would have thought we'd end up winning a cup. I mean, that was an unbelievable day. And to say I never got home till 10 o'clock the next morning, which says it all. And I remember my wife Jane was with me, and some people were going back on the train, I was on the train, and suddenly Jane was back on the train with some friends, and I said, I'll see you when I see you. So it was a special day, and for the club, the members, Sean, Claude, and with all that, it's a difficult last few months. So I've learnt an awful lot of lessons about Leicestershire, cricket, the ECB, the changing game. So tonight's all about questions from you guys. So from my point of view, I've not a lot more I can say in a minute. So the whole basis this evening is about what you ask, and we're engaging Sean, Claude and myself, basically fire away. So if we've got, because we're recording this evening, we've been asked if anybody's, hopefully there are questions, because I'm sure there's loads of questions, and I see a lot on, you see social media, I look a lot of it, I always keep thinking, my mum and dad always tell me sticks and stones, but there's been a lot of comments made, I've seen a lot, but we've got to be honest, because all we want to do, the reason we're here, because we want to see Leicestershire progress. And it's not easy, but there will be change, and there has to be change, but also we've got to respect what has been the past as well. But getting that balance right is not easy. So I think that's my opening gambit. Anybody got the first question to start, please?
Good news about Chris Wright.
Chris Wright.
Get on to Claude.
Thank you.
You talk about Right. Everyone, can you hear me? Yeah, it's great news. Righties at the age now of, you're probably thinking 39, fast bowler. When they get to 36, you start worrying, but he's a special, he comes from a special background. He's had an amazing career, 600-700 first-class wickets. But also what he offers to the changing room is massive from a senior player perspective. So he's really enjoying Leicestershire, and he's really enjoying what's happened in the last couple of months within the changing room. So it's great news for the club.
Good number 10 as well.
He'll say number 8, but he'll be a good number 10 for us.
Batting's been a revelation.
Yeah.
I think, would it be fair to say, Claude, it was interesting that Chris wanted to stay?
Yeah, I mean, at the time there was a lot of things happening at the club when he made the call to go. It wasn't an easy time for Leicestershire. I don't blame him at the time. I understand that. But since, I would say the last couple of months has been really positive. He's really enjoyed his fellow players and coaches, and he loves contributing and helping youngsters, and he's enjoyed the overseas players, and it's just positive, really positive. His contribution to the white ball game has been massive. I remember 2 years ago when I joined, Righty didn't play white ball cricket for Leicestershire. It was only red ball cricket. She was labelled as this Jimmy Anderson, let's protect him, don't play 50 over cricket or even T20 cricket. So the question was asked, why doesn't he play 50 over cricket? Your best bowlers win you 50 over comps. And he's proven that. I mean, his performance in the final has been massive. He took that wicket in the middle there, those couple of wickets that changed the game. So just the personality, the guy is top professional. It's really positive. I would say the challenges would be the day he gets injured, because that can happen any time now, and he's sitting on a 2-year contract, so then it's a case of how do we manage that.
Okay.
Josh? I've watched it about 48 times now, as that final, again and again and again, and I think that penultimate over was something special. Everybody talks about Josh Hull, but Chris Wright teed up that finish, which was truly amazing. And just my little tribute to Chris Wright, he's been so professional with Leicestershire, and he brings something really quite special to Leicestershire and what we're trying to create, so that knowledge. So I'm delighted that Chris has stayed with us, and I think it's testimony to what we're trying to create here at Leicestershire. If I use a bit of an analogy, the gentleman either side of me, Leicestershire has got many parts, many body parts, if you like, but making sure that the heart and the brain are right and working correctly. Now, I'll let you decide which one is the changing room and which one is the boardroom. But as long as you've got those things working in the right way and in unison, special things can happen. And I think that has happened this year. We've got the changing room, which is one of the epicentres of the club, in a right place, right position, right culture, right state of mind, and credit to Claude and all the team behind the scenes, all the cricket pillar behind the scenes for achieving that. And then I think the boardroom, getting the boardroom, in past, I think Leicestershire's been a victim of difficult boardrooms, of fallouts and politics and all that sort of thing. John has brought stability into the boardroom. And I think, again, both the boardroom and the changing room know what each other are doing. And, my knowledge of sport, if you get those two things working together, then anything is possible. We are, of course, hampered by our budgets. We're always going to be up against it in budgets, and that's going to be a hard thing for us. But if we get the culture right, as we've seen, and I'll watch it again probably this weekend for the 48th time, then we can achieve great things. And I think that's recognised, not just here in Leicestershire, but outside as well.
Yes.
Head coach. Thank you, Claude.
I'll come to you next.
So that's still in the process, and that will be finalised hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
Here before Christmas.
Definitely.
Sorry. Yes, sir. Sorry.
Yeah. Are we going to be offering the other hero of Trent Bridge, Harry Swinwell's, a new contract?
Claude?
We've had some very positive chats with Swinney, and it looks really good for him and the club. That will be announced soon.
Watch this space.
Yeah, watch this.
But that was an unbelievable story, though, wasn't it? When you think about it, just staggering. I was messaging some friends and somebody said about when you say, I think was Harry's high score 17 before the final.
I mean, Swinney going towards that final. Swinney was a second team player for us, and with all due respect, he hasn't really, with what the other batsman has done up till then. We then find ourselves in a position where there's no Peter Hanscom. What do we do here? With all sorts of conversations going on. Does the captain want to keep wicket? No. Okay, we've got Swinney. And then we find ourselves 19 for 4. I'm looking at what time's the rugby starting. I might make that. So it's really an amazing day for him. I mean, in my lifetime in cricket, I haven't seen many of those days from an individual. And it shows the hunger and the determination, and it's great. It's great for the club and for him.
Yeah, I think I would add, throughout the tournament, everybody kind of contributed. So we had Hanscom, Mulder, Rishi, all the lads did it in the way. But actually in the final, to see Josh, Sam and Harry, 3 local lads, do what they did, I think brilliant for Leicestershire. And Lewis as well, skipper, yeah, Lewis. Just brilliant for Leicestershire. And that, I think that's testimony to, again, the cricket pillar and Jigger and what they've done and how they developed those players. But for me, as a Leicester lad, incredibly proud to see them carry us over the line. I think it's fantastic for the club.
So,
Flowing now.
so gentlemen at the back here.
Yeah, probably time to get the elephant out of the room, and you probably say there's non-disclosure agreements in place, but what actually happened with Nico, and how did it get so bad, so quickly, so it appeared, simple as that really.
Go on, do you want to go?
I've got these 2 eyes looking at me either side.
I'll say, let Sean say, and I can say something on that as well.
Yeah, we are legally bound, and it wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be fair to both parties to actually go into the detail, and it's not right. That.
You already reached an agreement on the settlement and the amount of dead and buried
Yeah,
there.
we came to a mutual agreement, and that is the end of it. That's done. Yeah.
What was the start of it then? There must have been something. There must be something you can tell us. I'm not sort of trying to cause trouble here.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay.
I remember listening to it on the radio.
Yeah, no.
Somebody else thinks the same. I know your hands are probably tied a bit short.
They're tied a lot. They're tied a lot. I'd love to. I really would love to be open and transparent, but I'm legally bound, so I can't do that to Paul Nixon. I can't do that to Leicestershire County Cricket Club. What I would say is, Paul Nixon is a legend of Leicestershire County Cricket Club, and that will never change. His name is around this room on some of the performances that he's done for the club, and that's to be celebrated and congratulated. And Paul Nixon will always be welcome here at Leicestershire County Cricket Club, as will any player that wants to come back. I think Paul had been in a head coach role for some time, and you can see sort of sometimes a demise of coaches, and it doesn't just happen in cricket, it happens in football, rugby, where sometimes it just doesn't work and a change is needed. And maybe the change was needed. And I could go over all sorts of stats around Paul Nixon's coaching, and I've looked back over a lot of things that have indicated time for change was needed. And as I say, there were a lot of things kind of happening. And I think probably the performances in the T20 are not what I expect, not what the club expects. We've got to be better than that. Where we've indicated, that's for you as members to decide. But as I've always said, the club, we have to change. We've got to change, and we've got to continue to evolve, not just head coach role or DOC or chief exec, but community. And it's great to have Baloo, who's our new chair of the foundation, that we might talk about. Hopefully one or two questions might come out about that. So the club has got to continually evolve, can't rest on its laurels. And Claude and I had a quick chat about this before we came in. You know, it's great that we've achieved that, and we've had probably the best season for some time. But that wants to be a springboard for where we want to go to. You know, those that came to the meeting where I did the presentation about the master plan and the strategy, if you remember the strategy we talked about, this year was about building. Next year is about growth. The year after is about success. Now, actually, credit to the cricket pillar, they've delivered success 2 years early, which is brilliant. But that helps us. That helps us as a business continue to evolve. And that's the thing. We've got to continuously look, make difficult decisions to make sure that Leicestershire continues to move forwards.
And the thing for me with Nico, you know, I'm a supporter as well, and Nico's part of. I've known Nico for a long while, and it was very sad, to be honest, as a supporter, and a shock. But it was difficult, and I don't say any more. And it is sad, but Nico to me is part of Leicestershire.
Absolutely, I think that's the thing. A close-knit club, a small club like we are, probably why it's even more of a shock.
Yeah.
And ultimately something, you know, I don't know if anybody else saw it coming. You as the board, etc., did, and the rest of us didn't. And you're right, we have to move on. But I say ultimately, the guys did a lot for this club, and I say are always fondly remembering.
That doesn't change.
No, of course it doesn't.
It doesn't change.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And all I'm saying is it's difficult, and it's difficult, and I don't want everything. Oh, there's loads behind it. Things happen. There's always things happen, but it was a difficult decision. I remember I was away, and I knew what was going on and what it all happened. But I remember, I think we weren't allowed to say anything, and things were said. And I listened to the Radio Leicester podcast. I've still got it on my radio because I listened to everything was said, and all the negativity, oh, Leicester's going to collapse and all the players are going to leave and everything else like that. And sometimes you've got to be careful what you read and what you hear, because there's another side that we hadn't got anything we could really say. He took a lot of stick. Claude took a lot of stick. They're good guys. I don't think I'm a bad guy, but we're doing it because we care for the right. Now, we might make some mistakes, but it is no willful anything there at all. And Nico's welcome. I can't wait to have a beer with Nico one day.
If I seem to remember it right, it was within a day or two or 3 days of Ackerman, Parkinson and Wright ultimately were leaving.
Same day.
It was the same day.
It was a week. It was a day from hell.
Yeah, so ultimately, all right, now I mean, move on. You can't obviously say any more. We've probably talked.
Well, I'll just make you smile about it, because I remember speaking to Sean and Claude, and we couldn't say anything, so we had to get advice. And then Sean rang me and says, we've got to make a statement. And I think we put some on the website that I made a statement that whatever it was on the day. But it did have a laugh. I was on holiday and I watched Sky Sports News the next day, and you know when the old sports news comes through, it was my mum's second. I remember seeing Leicestershire chairman John Thorpe said, and I got my wife and said, can't believe that, look at that. And that's the first thing that was said. And it was sad, but it was difficult, but it was a very difficult time for everybody involved in the club, and sad, but that's life. Life has to move on. Is that fair? Yes.
As a continuation of the side of that, I think, Sean, at the time you said that
every door you opened had a fire behind it.
Still opening them doors.
How many of those fires are still burning?
Yeah, there are. There are lots of as I described it, doors that you open, not just around on the field. It's off the field as well. I've got Dan Archer here. Dan's in the corner. Just give us a little wave, Dan. So Dan's our stadium manager, and I don't know whether I've quoted this one before, but we've got a deal for solar panels above our Trevor Bennett stand, and the deal was for 40 years, and it's been going 10 years, and you could probably count on one finger how much money we've actually earned as a consequence of having these solar panels. So when that deal is done, the club have received absolutely zero from this deal. So you try and unravel what's gone on, and that takes considerable time. So Dan and I have been working very hard behind the scenes to try and eradicate that. So hopefully at the end of this month, with support from our solicitors, the club will start earning revenue or get money off its energy costs, which are going through the roof, off those solar panels. And it's things like that when you start to look under the surface, there are so many little things that have kind of gone on at the club that have been maybe good decisions at the time, but just kind of lack a bit of forethought. And I dare say our successors will find errors that we've made, hopefully very few, but it's trying to make sure that Leicestershire is run in a professional, correct manner that can protect Leicestershire County Cricket Club. And that's the thing, John. Everything, I seem to solve one problem and then another one arises. We actually had a little one today that's kind of come to the fore, and I've got to address that. And it seems to be that is an ongoing thing at Leicestershire all the time. And I think all that is maybe possibly how the club might have been run in the past. I come from 30 years of working in sports administration, so I do know what good looks like. And there's a lot of things that have kind of gone on, and you can understand why they've been run like that, but we can't continue to run like that. We've actually got to try and run it in the right and appropriate manner so that we're developing the business and trying to push the business forward. And in so doing, and so opening the cupboards and pulling out files, you do find things that are incorrect. And what do? You shove them back under the carpet, or you try and address them. My nature is trying to hit it head on and put it right, because I'm only here for a certain time, and then when my time's done, I want to make sure that I hand it over to somebody who can then move it on even further and kick on from there. So these doors do keep opening. Do I think we're in a better place than we've been for a long time? Yeah. Look at the season we've had on the field. Off it, we've still got a lot to do, a lot of work to do, a lot of development. We're hamstrung by the budgets that we've got. I'd love to spend more money on X, Y, Z. But as I've always sort of said, every decision that I and the board and Claude and the pillar heads take, it's for the betterment of Leicestershire County Cricket Club. There's no self-interest. It's always about how we drive Leicestershire forward and make sure that the narrative around Leicestershire changes as we go forward. And I think the oil tanker's turned this year and continues to turn. There'll be some tough decisions to come, rest assured, but we've got to make them.
Yes, Shep. Oh, sorry.
With 6 players having left the club at the end of the season, are we currently looking at player recruitment for next year? And is the fact that we haven't yet got a new head coach going to affect that recruitment? And if it goes on too long, is it going to make that even more difficult?
Don't look at me, Claude.
No. So when I arrived here 2 years ago, we had a squad of 27 players, professional staff, including overseas. Next year we'll have 19. We've got one more signing to announce that we're busy with. What that means is we probably spend more money on less players to try and keep our best players. So we've only got one more signing to go. When the new head coach has been announced, that's the squad he's going to get. But recruitment is a massive part of our success and what the first team looks like. What I will say is Leicestershire's not the only club with 19 contracted players. There are numerous clubs going that direction.
One thing I will say, just add to that, I read the Cricketer tonight, and there was a comment in the Cricketer that reviewed the season, and I love it. It actually said Leicestershire will become a club ambitious cricketers want to join. When was the last time we said that? Could say that. I actually responded and said, well, you need to change that. Change 2 words from will become to are. So Leicestershire are a club that ambitious cricketers want to join. So that narrative is changing.
So the 2 interim coaches stood in the running for head coach, and do you think they would stay if a different head coach is appointed?
So James Taylor and Alfonso Thomas is going to go through this winter as our batting and bowling coach, and that's all I can say at this stage.
Does that mean no then?
We'll have to see.
No comment.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you go, gentleman behind? Sorry.
What would you guys?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'd definitely keep with what we've got. So
You'd go
great
on.
success. Great enthusiasm from James Taylor. I think Alfonso is a serious studier of the bowling technique, so I'd definitely stick with what we've got. If we're going to say we've had the best season for a long time, and they only performed in the second half of the season, why on earth would you not stick with them?
I hear what you're saying. I've always said that I would have personally liked 3 guys in that first team, not just 2. It allows each coach to focus on their own space, but I take it on board.
And it's interesting, I've seen, because of my role, I'm a supporter, and it's great. I've got to know Alfonso and James, Lewis. Got to know Peter Hanscom, Vian, and these are good guys. The culture of these people, it is, the 6 of us went out, didn't we? One evening, what is it, August time? A couple of weeks, we had just a chat, just talked about, and I remember Lewis and said, gosh, it's great, we've never done this before. We just went and had a couple of beers, something to eat, learnt a little bit, understand, but they're good people, solid people. Peter Hanscom and Vian absolutely love it. I couldn't believe how much they enjoyed their time. Claude, you're a player, you've seen it, but they were tremendous people.
If you look at the leadership of that cricket first team, it includes the coaches, but also the captain, the overseas players, the senior players, Chris Wright, Vian Mulder, Hanscom, Hill, Rishi, Ryan Armit, the coaches involved. Peter Hanscom signed for 2 years with the club. Vian Mulder wants to extend his contract as overseas player. Next year in the T20, during the blast, we're going to have the World Cup T20 going on as well. So that means a lot of counties are going to miss out on quite a few good players. We're very fortunate that we've got those 2 potentially to get through the blast with us. So there's a lot of positives, but everything comes with budget. My budget is extremely tight within the cricket pillar, and I pride myself. I do pride myself in the cricket pillar that we try and save the club money as well, with saying that we want to create a good culture, and everything we do is in favour for Leicestershire County Cricket Club.
Well, I was offering to save you a head on the head coach.
Yeah, there you go, yeah. In all seriousness, around that point around budgets, I've got to pay credit to Claude. We set the budget, and he works within that budget. Him and all the coaches, they know where we are as a business, which is brilliant. And living in Yorkshire for umpteen years, getting your flesh for every pound is a thing that I've learned. And I think Claude, I have to say, real credit to Claude in terms of what they do within that cricket budget. To help us, and this is the point, to help us, we need more people. There is unlikely that any more money is going to come into the game. You've seen TV contract with 100, the international games. So the ECB are telling us, that's it, teams. That's the money you've got now. There's no magic panacea. There might be one or two little things that might happen, and John might allude to it. But how do we then compete? Well, we compete by doing what we're trying to do out there. You've got Perry and Ryan in the room, gives a little wave, gent at the back. So Perry's tasked with attracting sponsors, getting more and more people involved from a business perspective in the club. And we're starting to see a little bit of that on the back of success. Ryan gives a little wave, Ryan. So Ryan has got to drive membership. We can only do so much. You guys have got to get out there and spread the word about the changing fortunes of Leicestershire. We need your help. We need 5,000 people turning up for a T20 game. We need 2,000 people up turning for a championship game. We need 4,000 turning up for a 50 over. Without that support, we're stuck because there's no more money coming into the game. So we need your support. You've got to help us get people down into this ground.
So to say one last thing on the budgets, go back when I first joined the board, and Sean did as well. Sean and I never knew each other at all. We came down in 2020, was it 2019? 19. I'd never met Sean, never met. We sat in the board, and the first meeting I sat in, it was like a car crash. It was like, what the hell's gone on? And when it comes to budgets and things like that, there weren't any budget. There wasn't a cricket budget. I got by the things and trying to understand what we did, and working with Matt Boyce and I tried to get there was no budget, there was no planning. Whether people from Matt previous say otherwise, it's the truth. And that's when Sean says open doors, they're part of the doors that we've seen. And we're just being honest. People might otherwise say otherwise, but it's true. And if I showed you the correspondence and asked my wife, because I know what for 18 months, it was horrendous. But that's the truth. Nigel, Nigel, you keep, sorry, thank you.
I was going to ask about, the main same point as you there about the head coach, and if we can only afford one new player, perhaps there's some money that could be saved there for a second new player. I was very impressed down at home when I saw our two coaches, overheard their coaching. It's very, very, very impressive how, in a very gentle way, they were getting the best out of players. And I suppose you do need more than two people for that.
Simple answer, yes. We will rest assured, as I sort of said to a few members earlier, I want that out. I don't want that in here at Leicestershire in a cupboard somewhere. I want it out as far as the county will permit. So I think it's appearing tomorrow night at the cricket, the league, Leicestershire and Rutland League awards dinner. So it'll be there with Lewis. Is Lewis? Yeah, Lewis is going with it, which is brilliant. I encourage clubs to take it and have it out there. I've already said to Perry about having a celebratory dinner. There's something, Ryan, do you want to, come on, you explain what's going to happen Christmas time. He's got to earn his living. I would say about Claude and his budget, he's got his budget, but he bloody spends it, I'll tell you that much.
Thanks, Sean. Yeah, we are. We'll be announcing hopefully this week, maybe early next week, that we'll do a pre-Christmas members' lunch incorporating our awards, players' awards evening as well. So We have got a potential date, but I won't really reveal it now because we're just waiting for catering just to confirm a few bits and pieces. But I know a few people have mentioned they're away in December, so we'll try and work around some of those dates as well. But yeah, so because we haven't announced our player awards as well yet, so that'll all form part of that. So it'll be a members' Christmas lunch incorporating our player awards in December.
Yeah. And there'll be a dinner. There'll be a dinner as well in the new year that will celebrate it as well, when the players are around as well. So a bit more formal. Rest assured, I will milk it as much as possible. I will dine out on that silverware for a long, long time. So, especially in Yorkshire. So, yeah, we want to maximise it in every single way we can. And if you know of a club that's up for having it at a do or a photo session, let us know, because we want it out. We want it out. We want it to inspire another generation of Leicestershire cricketers. For us, that's what it's there for, inspire, especially with the 3 lads that carries over the line. Let's get it out there, out and about. It's been to Tigers. We've not been to the basketball yet. It was at a dinner with me, did I?
Got a civic reception.
Civic reception, yeah. So the City Council are inviting us to a civic reception. So the more we can get it out, the better. We've got another 11 months to celebrate it, so let's do it.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I keep missing. Apologies.
Going back to Trent Bridge, I've spoken to a lot of people since who've never been to watch Leicestershire before, and the feedback I'm getting about people coming down for the next thing is good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's brilliant to hear, and I was disappointed a bit in not having more people at Trent Bridge, but there were reasons. You know, the Radio 2 thing was going on, which was a real shame. But actually, our fan base on TV and in the ground were magnificent. It was absolutely brilliant, and a lot of that were Leicester City supporters. Fabulous. They came up. They had the game on the Friday, didn't they? Yeah, which is brilliant. So the atmosphere. Now, this is the challenge. I'll give you an example of the challenge that you face. So everybody had to buy tickets, and this is what I can't get my head around the cricket, how it operates. But everybody had to buy tickets through Trent Bridge. So who do you think's got that data? Trent Bridge. Can we get our hands on that data? No. And there's those people in there, Leicestershire supporters, who, like you said, have probably never been. We want to get our hands, and we're trying to get our hands, but we can't. So we can't communicate with them. So that's where we have to rely on you guys to get out and say, get yourselves down. It's a brilliant atmosphere, successful team, young team, growing team, the way we're headed, all those sorts of things. So they're the sort of challenges that we kind of face with, really. But rest assured, we're trying everything possible to keep that kind of coming. But I have to say, I thought the fans were brilliant, and the atmosphere, and as I say, I watched it 47 times. You hear it all the time. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Sean, can I just add? Yes, that final, what the fans has done from a team perspective has changed it. It was amazing to see. Thank you.
Just a quick question on that, Sean. With the 4 days, yes, we get the tickets come through to say, bring a friend along.
Yeah.
Then you put the name and address on.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ever thought about doing that for like a T20? It's like just one ticket per member.
I'm looking at Ryan and he's nodding, so I think that's coming next year. We've got to do more clever incentives to get people in, and I think Ryan, Perry and some of the team, Ollie over here, Josh, have all got now a couple of years under the belt. They kind of understand it a bit more, so they're kind of working out some of the systems we had behind the scene. We've still not got a retail system in place. We kind of do it through our cash point things, so we've not got a retail system, so stock management is so things like that we continually try and improve the business. And we're not awash with cash, and that's the issue that we face. The decisions we make have got to be the right kind of decision at the right time. So I've got the ground staff, none of them are in at the minute. They're asking for improved facilities in there. So you've got to make those decisions. Then we get a leaky roof. It's got to be dealt with, So there's all things like that. Grace Road, sadly, it does need a bit of upgrade, which you come on to the master plan, I'm sure, at some point. So there's all things like that you have to take into account that then just cost us money.
It's interesting also about the team. There's a lot of new faces. You know, some people left the club, sadly, not only playing side and off the field. And it's a difficult time, and we lost some good people who are part of Leicestershire. But then there's a lot of new faces learning. And last year I thought it was a big learning curve from what I saw. And in terms of what I'm seeing, the approach and planning ahead for that is completely different to where we were 2 years ago last year. And, you know, in my small way, I want to help and support the guys, you know, about, like you talked about the support at Trent Bridge. I've introduced somebody to Rhino from a base who are keen to help and get people in down to Leicestershire. And I think there's angles we've got to do it. But I think it's a relatively new team and there's some good people. We just need a bit of luck, a bit of hard work, and we need support. That's what we need. Not off and off the pitch. Sorry.
Mr. Walker, you've been waiting quite some time.
Last year, Sean, obviously you put about the ground improvements and stuff like that. Are we any further down the line? Are the ECB getting involved regarding having us as a central hub for the ECB? So I know Loughborough's getting old and tiring there.
Yeah.
They're actually looking at going elsewhere. Are they looking to put money into Leicestershire and have this as a central hub?
Yeah, no, great question.
We're kind of ground sharing with the ECB.
Yeah, no, good question. Short answer to that is no. The ECB won't. They're strapped for cash. ECB, COVID, they had a big war chest that would have been great for the game, but COVID wiped it out. COVID helped the clubs survive because we didn't have people in the game. So in credit to the ECB, they helped the game survive. If you look at rugby, they struggled. Rugby league, I know, struggled a bit and still paying debts back and all this, that and the other. So credit to them in that front. But the ECB won't now invest. They don't have those pots of money. It'll probably take them a few years to regain that. But there are other challenges around the world kind of happening. So in answer to your question, I don't think the ECB are going to be handing over cash to us any time soon. Our play with the ECB is about, as I described, an MBA in cricket administration, which doesn't exist, and I want that to exist here at Leicestershire. People are supportive of that, but it's a real slow process, slow burner to get that. If I could nudge the universities to be quicker, I would do, but they've got to go at their own pace. So that kind of brings us on to the plan. The plans have not changed. We still want to achieve that. And we've created a working party that does include the Director of Facilities from the ECB, Bruce, who's a good guy and is supportive of it. And we've got the City Council on our side as well. So we're in a good place. What you're going to see, and you'll hear probably over the next 2-3 months, is we're going to be focusing on phase 1 of the project. And phase 1 is effectively the corner of Curzon and Milligan Road. So where the Melton Building Society family stand is at the moment. So our focus is all about that area. The reason it's about that area is actually right here and now, it costs us money to keep that area going, because there's nothing happening in that area. So we've got to maintain it. So what we've done over the past 18 months or so, probably a bit longer, is chatted to people. And the focus on that particular area is around how it can generate revenue into Leicestershire County Cricket Club. That is a key part of our future survival. Now, the encouraging sign is that we've had 4 organisations. We've kind of pushed to one side, but 2 organisations who are both saying the same thing independently are indicating that it could be very good for Leicestershire County Cricket Club in a relatively short-term period. Now, saying it and doing it are 2 different things. So what we've got to do now, and again you sort of see this evolve over the next couple of months, we will appoint somebody, an independent assessor that's been requested by the ECB, which is all fair and all above board, and that's great, to actually assess these 2 proposals that we've received as a club and actually sort of sense check them, if you like, and then come back to Leicester and say, you're barking up the wrong tree, or yeah, you should go down that route, sign that deal tomorrow, blah, 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 whatever it might be. We don't know. But a lot of hard work behind the scenes has been going in to try and make that the key part. At the same time, we still want to develop this. Why that part as well? Because if we develop that corner, that means we can stay here at Grace Road, still play cricket. It won't interfere with the cricket offering that we've got. So you've got to kind of work out things like that. To give you a bit of idea, manage expectations in terms of time frames, I'm hopeful by the end of this year, beginning of next, we'll have 2 very concrete proposals on our desks that look encouraging for Leicestershire. I think maybe a bit more might come in, you never know, but certainly we've got 2. One might drop away. If we've got 2, we've got competitive tension. So when one says one thing, another says, and you can actually push. But we'll see, that time will tell. I would hope by this time next year, we've actually gone through legals, agreed the next stage, and hopefully got in a position where financially we don't have to worry day by day. Because at the moment, it's a bit hand to mouth. We're planning as well as we can. We're working within budgets. We've got to rely on income coming in. So the next 3 months, massive for the club in terms of memberships and sponsorships. And I would say to you, if you're delaying your membership renewal, do it as soon as you can. It helps us, cash flow, all those things kind of help us. But if we can get that deal away, that's right for Leicestershire, and I hasten to emphasise that. It won't be a sale of land, it'll be the right deal for Leicestershire. Then that can only be a good thing for the club. And actually, if it comes off the way we want it to come off, we'll be in a very strong position, and the whole complexion around the club would change. But there's a lot of work between now and then to be done.
I take it, I know what the answer would be, no, but we can't go into kind of details of the proposal.
No, you sign NDAs with the non-disclosure.
I think the thing is, without revenue, the club dies.
Yeah, correct.
And what we've got to do is we've got to secure the future of Leicestershire County Cricket Club. We're not going to sell our soul to the detriment of the cricket. We're a cricket club, but without cash, we'll die. And the biggest asset we've got is our ground. The size of it's massive. And if you look at it, there's a lot of wasted, there's a lot of dead space. And Sean has put an incredible amount of work into this. And Sean has driven this, and now I'm Sean, and I've had an idea what Sean's been doing pre my time. But now I'm involved, him and I on it. We've got some people, and with a bit of luck, it's going to happen. But we need to work hard and have a bit of luck.
There's got to be an element of luck in it. Yeah. That's always the case.
Stacks up.
It stacks up for it. If we can get this away,
it's a game changer.
It's a game changer for Leicestershire, and that's what we've got to work on.
To be fair, and obviously we've had David Wilson on
the
board before, and I can't understand why the club never looked at what Bristol did and people like that. Because I would have from the indoor school all the way round to that scoreboard. Apartments have a nice stand at the front. And then you've got then somewhere for you overseas to stay and stuff like you've got free accommodation for your playing staff.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And then as long as you don't sell the land and you keep it in-house for the club, you're getting generated money from that. We had before about having the 12 or whatever it was. We didn't want to step over the 12 because you have to open it social housing. But 12 over there will look stupid.
That's right.
Like Bristol, all the way round, it would look beautiful. Nice standard.
But if you look, sorry Sean, but if you look at that, whether it be 12 out, I mean, I saw odd schemes from the past. It was madness what was being looked at. But did you know we own behind the meet? We own those tennis courts.
Yeah.
Right. So the board never knew we owned that land. Can you believe that?
Another door you open.
Yeah. frightening, isn't it? And then you look at it, and then you look from the sky, and you look all the way with the nets and everything else like that. That's fair robbing, isn't it? Nobody really knew those tennis courts were owned.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm being honest, and I'm not trying to be whatever, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's staggering.
Sort of back on that, the sort of revenue versus cricket balance. I mean, we're all here because we love cricket.
Yeah.
That's the product of the county.
Yeah.
I think it's not ironic, and it's slightly amusing that the coaching staff, which for the first time in my period as a director, last 10 years or so, we've actually won something, which is brilliant. That's the outcome of the change that we've been talking about. And we've got, through winning cricket matches, getting a good squad, getting a leaner squad, and maybe a fitter squad as well, changing coaches. We've now got a sustainable coaching setup, which hopefully we will hang in with for a while. The irony to me is that through that change, the coaching unit and the admin and the board have created the Rayan Ahmeds and the Rishi Patels, and hopefully more in the pipeline.
Yep.
We are likely to lose their services. They're going to go off, and good for them and good for the club, for a proportion of the, and Sean knows where I'm coming to, a proportion of the season, and earn themselves some richly earned money.
Yeah.
Do we as a club, and irrespective of the EC being strapped for cash or not, do we as a club get any compensation for losing them, which could be, and more of them, for a large part of the season? So the fact that we've been really successful in breeding now international players actually weakens our position on the cricket ground. That to me is...
Just before I answer that one, Robin, just coming back to Stuart, in terms of the land, you've got to also take into consideration our location, so the network and all those sorts of things. So you have to have those conversations with like city council, planning, traffic, highways, to sort of, and also you got to understand the Leicester City Council's long-term strategy, what they require as well, because you've got to go through their planning permission. So when I first joined, it was almost kind of like build a hotel. But actually, when you do the desk research on hotels, there's a lot around Leicester City, Leicester Tigers building. So you got to create something that's right for all parties, really. So it's whilst it might appear a very simple question, it's actually quite complex. What I will say, we won't sell that land. That's not in our vocab. It's about using that land that's right for Leicestershire. So, but it's an exciting 3 months, 6 months, 12 months that we're going to see as a club. Might take a bit longer, who knows? But we'll see. I'm genuinely really optimistic about what can be achieved, and it will be a game changer for Leicestershire. So coming back to Robin, in terms of player development, brilliant. Credit to Jigger, Dips, the coaching staff, Jono, Dave Whitmore, all those lads behind the scenes who have developed those players through our academy. And I want our academy to be really strong. I think it's incredibly important for Leicestershire. I hear stories of other counties, one not too far away, that almost pay lip service to it. For us, I think it's incredibly important. So Sam Wood, have we announced Sam? Have we announced Sam Wood? Well, we have now. So he's the next cab off the rank. Really excited about him. We want to develop those players. I think Josh Hull is demonstrating where he can go, and bear in mind he's only had 1 full year as a pro, so that boy's going to be a talent. Signed for a couple of years contract, which is brilliant. Rayan Ahmed signed to 2027, but central contract. What happens with that? We now get his budget back into the club. So the central contract is then taken by the ECB, but what we budgeted to pay him as a contract comes back into the club. So Claude's already spent that, I think. So, there's things like that help. In terms of player appearances, we benefited a lot from Stuart Broad over the years. I think on average, between 50 and 60 grand, I think we got on average coming back into the club, probably a bit north of that. Sadly, he's retired. We would want him to go until he was about 57, but now we've got the next one coming through, Rayan Ahmed. And, our philosophy as well is to nurture those players, develop those players. We want them to be Leicestershire players. Let me tell you, when I bring out my book, when I've retired, I bring out my book, you can read a chapter on Leicestershire. And it's going to be 20. Yeah, 20. And Rayan Ahmed, we could have lost Rayan Ahmed very easily. But this man worked hard to keep Rayan Ahmed here and give him the opportunity that he quite rightly deserved for Leicestershire, and now we're beginning to reap those rewards. And I give credit to Rayan Ahmed, and I've said this story before, I'll never ever forget that meeting we had with Rayan in the boardroom, and I asked him, I said, what do you want to achieve, Rayan? And he said, I want to play for England. Brilliant, but I want to play for England as a Leicestershire player. And to me, that's music to my ears, really, and hence why he's got a contract to 2027. So all this speculation around him going to Lancashire, he's going nowhere. He's going nowhere.
Sorry, to clarify, so the amount of his salary, etc., in the budget, you get fully compensated
For the next 2 years.
whether he plays for England or not.
We don't pay Rayan Ahmed 1 cent for the next 2 years. But he's signed till 228 because it's 228. We've extended another year.
So, quick thing on that. So, one of
That's 67 by the time he leaves.
because it's really my role as chair, because I'm learning that. So obviously I've got to get used to the workings a bit of the ECB, which is an education. But I'm building some relationships, talking to people, and the new chair of Richard Thompson, who's the chair of the ECB, the Surrey guy. He's a good guy. He's got cricket at heart, but he's a good guy, and I've met him a few times as a chat, and I went down to London and had a chat with him because I work a lot in London, and we had a couple of hours chat. And just to give you how it works, they know, the ECB see what Sean and Claude and what we're trying to do as a club. And I said, we need some help, God, we've got Rayan Ahmed, whatever, great thing. We just need a bit of help. And I knew that help was coming because of what we're doing as a club. And I said that to Sean and Claude and gave them a bit of a nod. But when it was, I got wind of that 8 weeks ago, which is brilliant. Then Claude actually said, yep. But it's great for Leicestershire, so that Robin helps. And Rayan won't play for us a lot, but he'll play a bit with Claude, won't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be in April. I think May there's a T20 series against Pakistan. June is the T20 World Cup. The ECB's got full control of his fitness regimes and when he plays for Leicestershire, but when he's available, he's going to play for us. But just back on your previous point, I think there's a couple of lessons. The one is, it's great news with Rayan Ahmed and Rishi in the Lions squad, and there's talks about Josh Hull, who's close of going up. So what that does in the county circuit is players now go, I want to go and play for Leicestershire. There's something happening at Leicestershire. There's a good culture, there's a good coaching staff in place, whatever that might be. And it's a real good opportunity for players to play first team cricket and deliver. The challenge with that is when the Rishi Patels and the Josh Hulls get better, their price goes up. And I've always said to all the players, I would like that challenge to face the CEO and chairman and say, look, we can't afford this player, he's got to go. When we get to that place, we're doing a good job. We haven't been to that place yet. We're still in a good space. We've got most of our squad signed for the next 2-3 years, which is really good. They're all good guys. But yeah, you got to keep an eye on it, and things change in cricket. Players lose form or players get snapped up, and you've got to keep an eye on it. But it's all positive for now. Regarding what you asked about the players not being available, we've got I've budgeted a good pot of money for a loan market from the first division. I've been in contact with a lot of directors of cricket in the first division. If there's players, if we get to a crisis, can we make use of that? So that's very important. And I hope that answers your questions.